Chroma. We had a bit of a practice with this tier list. I'm doing it in one take, but we had a bit of a practice. And Chroma was the credit farmer. And I'm never not going to see him like that now. So he's been ruined. Where does Chroma go? He goes in D. It just, I feel so bad for him. His fourth is not good. His first is not good. His third isn't good anymore. And his second is basically the best thing that he's got going for him. His passive is also awful. It's arguably one of the worst passives out there, along with like Frost, along with like Oberon, along with like potentially Rhino if you really want to, Nova when she's knocked down. There's some pretty bad passives in the game. But anyways, Chroma is struggling right now. Chroma needs a rework. He just needs a rework. Yes, he's really good for his effigy placement when you're killing Prophet Taker, but outside of that, you're kind of coping.
D tier in terms of playing almost every piece of content in the game, with an introduction to our separate quote-unquote S tier of loot/optimization frames. Chroma gives double credits. Where is this useful? Prophet Taker and nobody else comes close.
And then Chroma doesn't belong here. Straight up, this is a 5 years ago take. Why is Chroma here? Chroma, not only one of the worst designed Warframes ever released, but also has been power creep out of anything that's not Prophet Taker.
Moving on to Chroma, let me put this real quick. D tier. Why? He serves one niche, farming credits. In Prophet Taker, yet your average player will just go to Index, because it's less of a hassle. Because once you get to the point where you can farm Prophet Taker pretty easily, you don't need that much credits.
It was that somehow, from within the derelict horror, they had learned a way to see inside an ugly, broken thing. And take away its pain.
I contemplated long and hard, and I have to admit, Chroma, you are a minus. I may be a bit biased since Chroma is one of the two favorite frames of mine, but his Vex armor is just insanely good. Yes, you're locked with running combat discipline in public lobbies to at least maintain your fury buff, but having over 1000% damage is still very good. He may be exceptionally strong for Prophet Taker for credits, but if you give Chroma a chance, you will have such an easy time with any weapon since Vex armor is a Serration-like boost. He can also face tank with cold and heat ward, and maximizing Chroma for pure strength makes him unkillable for 99% of the game. This is a very expensive Warframe, but if you're looking to just face tank with high damage for prolonged periods of time, Chroma might be for you. However, his Spectral Scream and Effigy are still by and large useless. Chroma has no gameplay identity, and that's the biggest problem he faces. It's not because he's outclassed, because there are dozens of other frames outclassed by one another. But the problem is that Chroma is a walking stat stick with sacrificial conditional.
Chroma is one of the most misunderstood frames and one of the most underrated frames in the game. And recently I have been playing him for almost 2 weeks straight, and I can guarantee you that he has one of the most broken combos in the game and maybe the best DPS in the entire game with the usage of the Xoris. And I will show you why in this video while having some gameplay footage in the background showing you this in action. Generally, Chroma is a Warframe that is looked down upon mainly because his main damage buffing ability, which is Vex Armor, needs to be activated by taking damage. However, what most people do not understand with Vex Armor is how much damage they need to take. In order to maximize the damage you deal using Vex Armor, you need to take 100 damage to your health specifically. Now, to take damage to health, you need to take damage to shields first. But to maximize the armor you get, you need to take 400 shield damage, and Chroma's base shield value is 375, which means with one Ogre mod, that being probably Ogre Secrets, you can easily get 400 shields just by pressing his 3, and since his 3 is recastable, you only need to take damage purposefully once, and you're never in any danger because all you need to take is 100 health damage. And Chroma has by himself 1000 health, and with his 2 activated he has 2000 health. So you're never in any danger, and once you get the Vex Armor buff going on, you're completely unkillable, you deal insane damage, and with the combination of the Xoris, the damage of the Vex Armor buff, which normally is additive, becomes multiplicative, which means that it will work exactly like Eclipse does, except unlike Eclipse, this can easily get up to 1500% without any insane build. So you basically have a 1500% Eclipse. It is absolutely ridiculous. Then on top of that, you can realize that it's not only for the glaives, but any kind of weapon that has multiplicative CO, adding a serration-like buff that is very high can break them very easily. Here I'm showing you a clip where I'm damage capping with the Stalta because of Vex Armor. Now, I know this is a Fisher mission and there is a lot of Vex Armor, but this is kind of the limits that Chroma can get. And Chroma is one of the frames that can keep his buff forever. So if you get Chroma on a Fisher and you get a very strong buff, as long as you can keep that buff active by just recasting his 3, then you will never ever run out of that ability strength. And then the best part about this is that right now we're using current version Nourish. Now Nourish is about to get nerfed, and a lot of you might say, okay, but how will this work if Nourish gets nerfed, yada yada yada, right? The thing is, they said Nourish will lose some of its effectiveness. Right now for Chroma, it doesn't matter the extra damage that you get from Nourish, because right here is a clip of me dealing damage cap with the Xoris without the usage of Nourish. So what the Nourish is useful for, on Chroma's case, is the energy regen so you can safely recast 3. Now, Nourish is not the only way to energy regen in this game, so if that goes away, we'll just take Lycat's Hunt. Lycat's Hunt is a fine way to regen energy as well, and you can even use Dispensary, you can use so many other things to regen energy, so it's not just a lost cause, you know? But obviously, Nourish giving damage on top of giving energy regen will always be top tier. Now, the multiplicative damage from Chroma's Vex Armor doesn't work only on the Xoris, it also works on any single glaive weapon that you might get. The Xoris is the best one because it can abuse melee influence since it has a guaranteed electricity proc on its heavy attack, which increases its range massively, and by itself it has a 12 meter range while you're using the volatile quick return mode. So it is by far the strongest AoE glaive in the game, and because of Chroma's multiplicative damage, you don't need any more damage to reach even level cap. And you can think of it like this: if you wanna get a group of enemies to die, then you can use your glaive weapon, which would be the Xoris. And if you wanna get it onto a disruption mission and do level cap, how would you kill the level cap Demolist? Well, you would take your primer weapon, and then you would hit them with a weapon that has multiplicative CO. And for me, that would be the Stalta. So the Stalta, for my case, one-shots any level cap Demolist, even without Chroma. With Chroma, it's not even comparable. Like, I believe that if I armor strip a Demolist with the Stalta and Chroma combo, I would easily kill them before I even need to bleed, and the build that I'm using is a bleed focused build. Like, I have a clip here dealing 300 million to a poor heavy gunner, and yeah, I mean, he didn't even have that many procs on him, and I don't know, it's just insane. Generally, Chroma is in absolutely perfect spots he is a very strong Warframe. I have no idea why everyone puts him at D tier. But one thing I can say is I also want a Chroma Rework. But I wouldn't want his abilities to be reworked completely. I would like his second ability Toxin ephemera thing to be reworked, because Holster Speed got reworked and then that ability had to get reworked, and since then it is completely unusable. His first ability is once again completely unusable, his passive is a joke, and his fourth ability is very niche and not very cool whatsoever. So in my opinion, if we rework how his buffing abilities looked visually, to add some kind of dragon scales on top of his skin or something like that, a cool effect, and then we also gave him a movement ability, I think his popularity would raise without that big of an effort. Like, Chroma is not a Warframe that needs a full-on rework, he just needs to be visually more appealing for people to play, because he is very strong. He is just boring in his current state. When it comes to the Chroma and Xoris combo, however, I do think that this is meta. Like, I don't see anyone playing it, but I think if people knew about Chroma and Xoris, it would easily become meta. There is no comparison to how much damage and how quickly it can clear a room. Like, you can take a Torrid Siren, you can take whatever you want, Ceramic Dagger, anything. It doesn't even come close to how quick you can clear a room compared to Chroma and melee influence with Xoris. And it makes sense, right? You just do one heavy attack, the whole room is dead. The entirety of the room is dead. And this happens up to level 3000 easily. And what happens after level 3000? Well, you just throw your glaive again, and that's it, done. Like, it's that simple. And honestly, I think that Chroma is a bit overlooked because of how much people has been pushing all these encounter metas, and then people just don't try out stuff. Like, I could be telling you that Limbo is broken, you would call me crazy. But in my opinion, Limbo is the best Warframe to use on the circuit, because every time I get a Limbo on the circuit, I can easily do level cap every single time. It's the easiest thing in the world. But yet again, you know, people say Limbo is bad, so they don't play him. And it's the same thing for Chroma. Everyone is just too focused on playing Siren, Torrid, and Gauss, and everything that is meta currently. Protea, even though I love Protea, I don't know, it's just, how is this happening, you know? I don't understand. Chroma, it's so effortless to play him, and the best thing about him is that he can even work as a team currently. I don't know what will happen after the Nourish gets reworked, but currently you can forgo any kind of ability efficiency, go Nourish and buff your entire team with a lot of range, duration and strength. And you can pair him with things like Citrine, Wisp and Nidus, and your whole team becomes unkillable. You can go infinite. Nobody will be even close to dying even at level cap, because you have too much damage reduction stacked on top of each other, plus you have all this damage stacked on top of each other. It's just ridiculous. You cannot, it is an unbeatable setup, really. So I don't know why people are not using Chroma. I hope you guys try out Chroma and Xoris, because this is like the most effortless thing. Let me show you the builds. Alright, so for the build itself, if you want to maximize him out, you would add 2 red Archon shards, 2 blue Archon shards, and then here I would probably go for something like either another red or a green Archon shard, maybe, to get more corrosive stacks for better armor stripping. Then the Chroma builds themselves, this is the first one. This is the main build that you would use if you wanted to fully invest into Chroma and get a solo Chroma build going on, or a DPS Chroma. If you're like in a squad and you don't care about buffing squad but playing DPS, this is what you would use. Then this is a build with not a lot of investment. This is supposedly for if you don't want to use like Umbra Forma and all that. The last mod that is missing here is Hunter Adrenaline to help you keep your energy up if you want it. And this is also a nice way to keep energy up in case Nourish gets reworked and we don't get any good energy regen from it anymore. So overall really good. And then this is the third build that is for buffing the entire team. Obviously This is not null star, this was a level up build, so you use Nourish here, and then you go with the same setup as the first one, but instead you use overextended here instead of narrow-minded, and then you add a primed continuity here that I cannot fit because it doesn't match the polarity currently, and your duration would go up to 128%, which is more than enough to keep Vex armor for around 28 seconds, which is enough for you to remember to recast it. So overall, all three builds would work great. I would suggest this first build if you wanted to play for squad. This is what I would use mainly. And then for the weapons themselves, I always use the Stalter with him because it has multiplicative CO and I love the weapon. This is a DOT focused build. This is the one that you saw me use on the Simulacrum of that one heavy gunner, and it dealt a lot of damage. So if you want to do level cap with Chroma, this is something that you can easily go and do level cap with Chroma. Compressor, oh wait, sorry, forgot. Riven mode, because a lot of people ask, it's just replacing infected clip, but in this case you don't even need infected clip because you're doing a dot build, so you could easily go something like hammer shots or galvanized scope. These are the two modes that I would be thinking about putting. And then compressor itself is a standard primer build with corrosive, cold, and radiation coming from this mode, then corrosive, cold as your elements. So Raven mode replaces cold mode because we have corrosive from these, and then this would go down to get cold and corrosive from these. Secondary cucumber obviously for the extra stats, and then here is the Xoris build, which the Raven replaces Gladiator Mites. This is the build that I used for the level cap on the heavy gunner on the intro. I did not have the Raven mode when the intro with the heavy gunner happened. I have been working on this video for quite a few days and I hope it shows. And overall, even without a Raven mode, you can damage cap with it easily. And the best part about this is that you're seeing me use this without a maxed out melee influence because I am simply lazy and I don't go to the new tile set to farm stuff. So, you know, pretty cool. If you want to get a companion, then best companion is by far the Panzer Volpaphyla, I don't know how you pronounce this, but this is the best one because it can heal you and proc viral on enemies. I just like Smita because resources, and then Madurai is by far the best school because of the 40% strength. So overall, Chroma, you know, with this build is completely busted. I don't think I need to tell you anything more. And overall, I do hope that people will actually give him a try now, because I don't know what else I need to show you for you guys to believe me that Chroma is not actually a D tier Warframe. I made a meme video about it that wasn't very serious, but then after that meme video I started trying him out, and when I realized that for some reason glaive weapons are multiplicative with the Vex armor, then the wheel started spinning, and here we are. So yeah, I hope you do enjoy playing him. Overall, Chroma, even after the Nourish changes, should still remain a top tier contender for DPS, and I think he should still become meta even after the Nourish changes. Now, I am not sure what the Nourish changes is gonna be, but even if the ability completely dies out and is unusable, you can easily subsume another energy regening ability, and you can easily produce enough damage to do even level cap content. So current level cap is not tanky enough for Chroma, therefore he will always be meta for me. Now, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. First of all, I want to thank you for watching and staying till the end. And be sure to subscribe, because on 5,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do a Riven mode giveaway. I currently have a lot of Riven mods lying around, and I want to give some back as a thank you for the support you have given me, and a massive thank you for 100,000 views on the primary weapons video. I never thought I'm gonna see a 6-digit view count on a video that I have made ever in my life, but here we are. What a day to be alive. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.